Good afternoon. I trust you had a great weekend. My name is Boni Tunya. You're in time for KTN Newsdesk, where news is brought to you, of course, as it happens. We have a lot in store for you in this bulletin, but first, let's have a look at the highlights. 4 arrested in Kariobangi in possession of ivory. And Kotu on Labor Day. Kotu maintains it reserves the right to host Labor Day celebrations. Also, why some Jubilee MPs oppose the Anglo leasing payout. Welcome to the program. 4 people have been arrested in Nairobi's Kariobangi estate by administration police for being in possession of ivory. Police say they were informed of the ivory sellers and posed as buyers, during which they agreed on a fee of 100,000 shillings. AP Senior Superintendent in charge Mureithi Mutunga said they then arrested the suspects and assured that they would be arraigned in court to face charges of being in possession of illegal game trophies once investigations are complete. He said the police are following crucial leads to ascertain whether the merchandise was headed to.
Already you have 4 suspects ambao sasa hiyo in our custody. Ndio wale ambao tumeshika ndio waweze kutuwezesha kuweza kupata ipembe silitoka wapi na yule anauza ni nani.
Now, Kotu has come out to say that they will head the Labor Day celebrations slated to take place at Uhuru Park this Thursday. They have also confirmed that the President and the Deputy will be in attendance and that Labour Minister Kazungu Kambi will lead the government delegation. Kotu has also invited rival union Pusetu to take part in the celebrations, saying that it is a day for all workers regardless of their union affiliations.
All plans are afoot. If somebody is saying maybe he's up planning for his Labor Day, it will be besides what we have organized. 2, shop stewards are ready for any eventuality at the place because that is their Labor Day. International Labor Day belongs to workers globally. It is not government or employers' day. It's a day workers reflects what happened at the Haymarket. Anybody will be coming today is coming on invitation. Anybody who will be attending Labor Day is on invitation. So if you want to come with an idea of coming to hijack, you will meet the full force of law.
To other matters now, in poverty in Kenya remains the greatest challenge in achieving equity in provision of health services in the country. Only 10% of Kenyan population has access to medical cover. However, this is set to change after official launch of the Health for All campaign earlier today in Nairobi. The initiative is a joint partnership between the Ministry of Health, NHIF, and other global public and private stakeholders. Speaking at the launch, Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia affirmed the government's commitment to quality, affordable, and equitable health for all Kenyans.
With this, we believe that we shall achieve some of the targets which we set ourselves. And this is to ensure that we increase the people covered under insurance from the current 4 million to 25 million Kenyans in the next 2 years.
If it was possible, could we please have an outpatient clinic, because by the time you get to be admitted so that the insurance fund can help you, sometimes it's even too late. Most Kenyans don't reach that point. And if you do, it is a bit too late.
Several Jubilee members of parliament say they will not support the payment of additional taxpayers' money to Anglo Leasing Company that the government lost large amounts of money to it in early 2003. Led by Kigumo Member of Parliament, who is also the chair of the Energy Committee, Jamle Kamau, the MP say it will be morally wrong for the government to spend more money on the company that already fleeced it through dubious contracts. They are asking other Jubilee members not to approach the matter along party lines, but assess the consequences of the payout on the economy of the country at large.
It will be wrong, morally wrong, to support the payment of agro-leasing monies. What I know is that there was a court case which has to compel the government to pay for it. But I think once it comes to Parliament, we look at it, and based on the facts that are going to be there, we can be able to make a decision thereof.
Actually, you know, the Parliament will debate, but the position is we will not allow the government to pay the agro-leasing. That one not support. But we are still waiting for the motion to come so that we can see the content, then we take our position.
If the motion is brought to Parliament, we shall analyze it, we shall interrogate it, so that we can take a stand. First and foremost, all matters to do agro-leasing, we know morally it was very wrong, because we are talking about taxpayers' money.
Let's have a look at county politics now, and Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Kipchumba has urged governors led by Isaac Ruto, the chairman of the Governors Council to work with other leaders within the country and the county at large as part of a cooperation. Now, Murkomen said that the development of the country should be top priority, saying exchange of words between the Senate and the governors has made it difficult for smooth running of county governments. He further says that the Senate was ready to work with the governors at any given time, and that it will only be made possible to cooperate from both sides.
The reason why many people are unhappy with governors at the moment is this Mr. Big Man mentality. An MCA comes to you, you call him a councillor. A senator comes to you, you call him idol. An MP comes to you, you say busybody. Deputy President talks to you, you say he's a small man. The President comes to you, you say he's anti-devolution. Now, if you blame everybody, whom will you work with? We must create teamwork as a country. If we want to work for devolution to move forward, we must work as a team.
And talking of cooperation, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, is asking members of Parliament from the opposition to table debates that will attract support from the government side instead of politicking a lot on the floor of Parliament. Now, he says only through meaningful debates that will benefit the public that the government side will offer support to the opposition, who are less in numbers in Parliament. He further urged the opposition to avoid dwelling on last year's general election, citing that it was time to move on and focus on other national issues.
Parliament is duly constituted. There is majority, there is a minority to songe mbele. Bring your debate on the floor of the House. And on the floor of the House, decisions are made on the basis of majority. So you must accept that. So if you cannot come up with proactive ideas, ujaribu kuambia wanabarua kanini hii, hata kama mnaona si mbaya, wakusikize waone hii ni mambo ya nusu mkate ama nini unaleta. Kama ni mambo mzuri ambayo inawafaidi wa Kenya, watakuunga mkono. Si ni kweli hivyo?
Scores of activists and scholars from Kenya have arrived in Ghana for a meeting called to push for greater equality in Africa. The United Nations says the gap between the rich and the poor is eroding the benefits of economic development on the continent. The meeting comes just a year before the expiry of the deadline set by the world leaders to massively reduce extreme poverty. KTN's Joe Ageo, who is attending the conference, now reports.
In Dar es Salaam, the big march announces the big day, a milestone, marking 50 years since the birth of the United Republic of Tanzania. But Tanzania is only the latest country on the continent to mark 50 years of nationhood. No mean feat for a continent with a difficult past. But now it's emerging that all across Africa, most poor people are struggling to keep their heads above the water.
The gap between the rich and the poor keeps growing.
We dreamt about a society that would be compassionate, a society that really made people feel they mattered.
Even the UN that came up with ambitious targets in the year 2000, known as Millennium Development Goals, is beginning to have a rethink that just meeting general targets may not do.
If you say the number of primary school enrollment has gone up 90%, what kind of primary school? What kind of education? What kind of teachers with what level of qualification?
UN agencies and activists on the continent are now gathering for a critical conference convened by the Ghanaian government to find ways of making economic growth more even.
A first step, important outcome would be to encourage governments to take inequalities seriously, to understand that inequalities cannot be reduced accidentally.
A lot will depend in terms of participation on the ordinary people who are either exploited or excluded themselves. They have to make a claim, they have to make demands, they have to organize themselves to assert those demands.
From the west to the east, the story appears to be the same, that of a widening gap between the rich and the poor. And many experts are now warning that creating wealth alone will not lift the continent out of poverty. And time is running out. Chogeo, KTN, Accra, Ghana.
Family and friends of the late senior counsel and Makueni Senator Muturi Kilonzo yesterday held a memorial ceremony in his remembrance. It was during this ceremony that it also emerged that his family still does not know what killed their father, as the autopsy report was forwarded to the Crimes and Investigations Department.
It is exactly a year since the death of former Senator and Senior Counsel Muturi Kilonzo. In 1 year on, a buzz of activities at his home in Mboni. Family and friends came in numbers to remember a person they describe as a great leader with a high-flying legacy.
It's a time to be born and a time to die. Muturi was born, and his time to die came, and they left us without even saying goodbye to anybody.
He touched each one of us in some special way, so we can testify to how or what he meant in our lives.
I appreciate the fact that God took him away in the manner that he did. It was not a road accident. Nobody shot him. He died in his bed.
Inside his new marble mausoleum, a candle burns in his memory. It is here that his family members say they find solace even in his absence. Muturi, who died at the age of 65, was found dead in his bedroom in his ranch in Manzoni, Machakos County. 1 year on, and questions about his demise still linger in many minds. According to his family, no word on the cause of his death has been given. An autopsy that was recently released by the government pathologist remains unavailable to them.
His death is no longer a secret. It's fair that we find out what exactly transpired so that then we can have closure. And if we can establish whether there was somebody or persons who were involved in it, then that action ought to be taken as soon as possible.
Even as family members continue to search for answers on what killed their father, memories of the late leader remain clear on their minds 1 year later. Betty Kyalo, KTN.
Now your days are numbered. This is a message from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to all illegal pharmacists who have continued to flood the market with counterfeit drugs. The board has gone to digital in a move that will see drugs and medical clinics registered online. Speaking at a media briefing earlier today, the registrar of the board's Kipchumba Kipchumba said the move will mop up all unregistered products from the market and prosecution of quack pharmacists.
And we have been urging all the manufacturers and distributors to be vigilant and to avoid pitfalls that would lead to handling dubious medicines. We are also urging all the licensed persons to adhere to good distribution practices for pharmaceuticals, and particularly to ensure proper record keeping and batch tracing. We are also advising members of the public to buy medicines from approved health facilities to ensure that they are served by qualified personnel in these premises. As a requirement, the premises are supposed to display the Farmers and Processors Board issued licenses for both the premises and personnel.
The planned introduction of taxes for athletes who receive accolades is strongly being opposed by a member of parliament. Mathioya MP Clement Wambogo says he will rally other MPs to oppose the bill when it comes for debate on the floor of the House. The MPs say taxing athletes who bring glory and honor to the country will demoralize athletes and affect their performance. The MP was speaking after the conclusion of the 6th edition of the annual Mathioya Half Marathon in Rore Stadium.
The idea of a KRA taxing the sportsmen, I think it was not very fair. I know that we are looking for money, but we need to look into areas which we are not supposed to touch, because these are people who are using their own energy, their own body to make whatever little that they can get. I know there's lots of money in sports internationally, but I think if we get into taxing our athletes, we're going to discourage them from even going into international to get to the international standards.
Let me know what your thoughts are concerning that particular debate. Should we tax athletes who bring glory to the country by winning gold and other such like trophies and of course the monies that come with such competitions? Let me know what your thoughts are. The handle, of course, is at KTN Newsdesk. Do share with me. I'll be able to share with you in the course of this particular bulletin. But coming up, Family Bank is set to offer a new cash call. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's talk business. Family Bank is in talks with a range of foreign investors seeking long-term financing to fuel its expansion drive. Currently, the mid-tier bank is in advanced talks with the African Development Bank to inject 3 billion shillings into the bank. Also on the cards is a further 2 billion shillings from the European Development Bank as the bank seeks to show its core capital and grow its footprint. The expansion is expected to happen locally and also after the bank has scuttled earlier plans to venture into South Sudan following months of civil unrest. This comes as the bank posted 109.6% growth in net profit to 446.4 million shillings for the first quarter ended March 31st compared to 212.9 million shillings a year earlier. Growth has been driven by a loan book which grew by 36.9% to 1.5 billion shilling. Family Bank has an aggressive plan to becoming a Tier 1 bank in the next 3 years. Now, the demutualization and subsequent self-listing of the Nairobi Securities Exchange is picking up with special resolutions made at the BOS annual general meeting earlier on. According to the special resolutions, the NSE will be increasing its share capital from the current 25 million shillings to 825 million shares valued at 1 shilling a share. The shares will then be consolidated at 212.5 million shares valued at 4 shillings a share. Of significance to the public care is that 81 million, that is just about 375,000 shares that will be on the offer during the initial public offer. No words have been issued yet on the share price, but the NSE has indicated that the shares will be sold at a premium, implying that it will be higher than 4 shillings. The latest news from the exchange will be welcome relief for the demutualization process that has taken almost 6 years now. Right, despite stumbling on my words reading sports, here's a fact you may want to know. Right. A did you know fact for the day, and in 2006 the FBI planted a spy in the Southern California mosque and disguised him as a radical Muslim. The Muslims in the mosque ended up reporting him to the FBI for being a potentially dangerous extremist. I don't know how that you'll use that. My name is Bonitunya. Have yourself a great afternoon. I will see you again for business.